Hello and welcome back to Week to Week. Thank you very much for clicking on another week's video. My name is William and together with my fiancée Laura and my brother Andrew, we run the attachment company. The attachment company is a business with two main locations, one here in central Scotland and one in Denver, Colorado, run by my brother Andrew. We supply a variety of attachments for excavators, skid steers, tractors, front loaders and many other applications. These include augers, breakers, tree shears, compactor plates, flails and many more. The whole point of these videos is to give you an insight into what it looks like running our business on a day-to-day basis. The goods, the bad, the up, the downs, mainly here at our location in the UK, but we do try to keep you updated with everything that's going on over at our place in the USA. Monday morning, we're in the warehouse and we have nothing out of the ordinary scheduled at the moment for this week so far, but we did take a couple of orders for some attachments last week. So first things first, let's go and get some of them put together and then we'll take the rest of the day from there. Brackets are drilled and fitted for the flail order. Let me quickly show you around it. So it is one of our Kangini TC range flails, this time for a 14-ton excavator. I will show you in more detail when it's finally finished, packed up and ready to go. But it's one of our Attachworks hitch brackets, 65mm pins for a 14-ton excavator. We've drilled that out and bolted it to the flat plate that was on the flail. So that's very near ready to go. We have a couple of hydraulic hoses to make for that. We'll do that this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and that's going as part of a bigger order. So a couple of other things we're waiting on. We'll hopefully get them all out at the one time. Next plan for the day is to get some more of the Attachworks buckets and attachments uncrated. They're over here. Get them uncrated, get them out on individual pallets so we can get some pictures and some inventory of what's here, start getting them on the website. So that's the buckets that we took delivery of a few weeks ago now. I'll cut some footage in here and show you us unloading that container load. That is our own brand, Attachworks. I'll go into some more details on that later in the week, let you know the story behind it. But for now, I'm going to get on, try and get some of these uncrated, get them out, get them ready to get up here. We need some more racking in the warehouse. I talked about this last week, but we're going to put some racking, I think, down here somewhere, if that makes sense on camera, so we can get the buckets all up, individual, get them up off the floor and actually see what we've got. Tuesday morning, the sun is out again, 2 days in a row. I have a feeling it might not keep up like that. But regardless, first job of the day, I'm walking backwards, trying to keep you out of the wind here. First job of the day is to go pick up a steering rack for that. Because, I'll show you why here, hopefully in a second. That there. That there, that there, that there. And that there from this morning. Yes, we have a leak. We have had a leak for the last couple of weeks, so time to do something about it. Let's go to Glasgow, pick up a steering rack for that, get back and get on with the rest of the day. Goods secured, one reconditioned steering rack. Let's get back to the yard. We have a delivery. I think I know what it is. Let's go get it unloaded and then I'll show you what it is. Delivery unloaded, and how fitting that we've been working with Attachworks buckets this week when we get another delivery. This one's for a customer and there's a bit of a story behind it, and I'm trying to work out, I don't know if the timing will work out. I'll get this open tomorrow, but I don't know if the timing works out right by the time this video comes out to show you what's in it. I hope that makes sense. Basically the customer, one part of the customer, as in the customer's son, doesn't know he's getting this. Well, that might be too many details. Anyway, it's a bit of a surprise, and I don't want to spoil it by this video coming out before we get that said surprise delivered. So I'll unbox it tomorrow, and you might see it, you might not see it. I'll film it, and if the time is going to work out, you'll know, because it'll be tomorrow. If it doesn't, then I'll show you in a week or two's time when we go to deliver it. Other than that, just picked one of them off the pallet, gave it a dust off, took some pictures just to send to the customer here. With that packed up this week, if he's going ahead with it, we'll get it out to him. So it is 3:14 on Tuesday the 9th of July, and if you're watching this anywhere other than Scotland or the UK at the moment, yes, this is apparently meant to be British summertime. Yeah, it's cold, it's windy, it's wet, and it has been off and on for the last number of weeks, sadly. With all that being said, I am going to take a little bit of an early break this afternoon. I don't know if it's visible on camera, but I feel as miserable as the British weather outside, so I'm going to get up the road, take an hour or two, hopefully try and feel a bit better, and I'll get out to the office this evening and get a bit more done. Just spent some time there reviewing week to week episode 47, so I'll link it up here somewhere. Go and click on that. Turned out better than I maybe thought during that week. It was a busy one. We got a container of auger torque attachments in on the Monday, and then we were down at Hill Head show on the Wednesday, so plenty to see in that episode. So click up here, go and give it a watch if you don't mind. And unless anything unforeseen comes up, that's us for Tuesday. Alright, it's Wednesday morning, we're back in the warehouse, fresh and refreshed. Let's go. First things first, here's a sneak peek at what was delivered yesterday. You might be thinking it's another black and blue bucket, and you would be correct. It's not just a bucket, it's what goes with the bucket. It'll all make sense, I promise, stick with it. The next week or two, you'll see. The big piece that's going with this, that makes it make sense, I think is about to be delivered this morning. So let's go get that unloaded, and then I can maybe show you around it. Couple of Kinshofer deliveries. That's the one that makes the bucket make sense. More on that later. And this, in fact, let's get it open, I'll show you exactly what it is. There is, I was going to say there's a clue, but there is exactly what this is. I know it doesn't look much like that, but that's the part that goes with the grab shells that were delivered in the auger torque container a couple of weeks ago. That is part of an order. It'll need a bracket in the top, but hopefully end of this week we can get the shells on that and I can show you exactly what it's for. On to the next most important thing of the day, packing some orders. First order of the day, ready to go. Couple of Attachworks attachments. The first ever Attachworks S45 asphalt cutter, packed up and ready to go. And also it's a good friend and customer of ours. We're going to send him a little S30 bucket as well, just to test out on his machine. You might keep it, you might not, we might get it back, it's not a problem. I just want to get it on a machine, get it tested out, see what like it is. There's a couple of tweaks that we're thinking maybe from the pictures we would like to make in the future. So thanks very much, Scott, for the order of the asphalt cutter. I look forward to seeing it on the machine, and also getting the little bucket out and on the little Yanmar as well would be good. So once I've got them, if I've got pictures by the time this comes out, you'll see them. If not, stay tuned for them in future episodes. Next one for the day is a bracket for a customer's hedge trimmer order. I need to go and drill that out, so I'll go and pick the bracket out of the crates. It's for a Takeuchi TV216. The hedge trimmer is going direct from Auger Torque at Cheltenham. We're going to send the bracket from here because we've got one in stock. So let's go, pick the bracket, get it drilled, get it bolted up to the hedge trimmer mount, get it out. Brackets drilled, let's get them cleaned up and bolted together. And yes, I know what you're thinking, a mag drill on a footlift pallet bench is not the most professional setup for this operation. But until we get the power connected up fully in here and our milling machine hooked up as well, it is the most time efficient, quickest way to do it for the time being. It is only 4 holes in a square pattern. Anything more complex I would take over to the engineers. And I know there's a good chance I'll be watching this video, so there is a couple of things on that note that need to go there, so we'll either go over there this afternoon or tomorrow morning. I'm not doing you out of work, I promise. I just needed this one in a bit of a hurry. So yeah, let's get these bolted up and then I'll show you what they're for. We've done these before on here a bunch of times, but we keep a load of stock top brackets. We keep various different cradle assemblies, brackets, well in this case for an Auger Torque hedge trimmer. Why are we not sending the hedge trimmer? Well, simply because we don't have one in stock, but there is one in stock down at Auger Torque at Cheltenham. They're going to send that direct. We're going to send this to the customer. Hopefully they both arrive around about a similar time. We keep a load of stock of top brackets in a range of different pin diameters, pin centres, dipper widths, etc. to suit as many machines as possible. And then we do what we've done today, drill them both out, bolt them together. It's the cheapest. It's probably not actually the cheapest way to do it, but cost effectiveness versus time versus turnaround versus availability, it is the best way we've found to do, especially these 4 holes, well 8 holes, drilled out, bolted down, send it out and it's ready to go. On that note, this is pretty much ready to go. I'm going to wrap it up and let you enjoy some hedge trimmer footage. So here's one working. Wednesday afternoon, parts are looked out to go to the welders tomorrow morning. Orders are packed, waiting on SNT coming to pick them up this afternoon. And then it's time for the usual weekly Wednesday USA meeting. So I'm going to jump on a Teams call with Andrew, see what's going on over there, get the catch up. 8:30 Thursday morning, our order for the day is ready to go. A little Kanjini TC1-60 flail. This is the one that was on display when a few months back now when we were over at Ramsey and Jackson. Put a little video in here and show you. It was on display for the Takuchi Open Day. It's built up now, hoses are on it, brackets on it. It's going to a customer in Northern Ireland. This is the 600mm wide TC1 direct drive hydraulic flail version with the swinging hammers and the kind of usual spec that we keep all of our flails. Drilled out the bracket this morning. This is going on the customer's Bobcat E20. Again, the same as yesterday, exactly why we keep brackets in this configuration. We keep the stock bracket here for an E19 and E20, drilled it out. The plate comes with the flail already drilled. Bolt the two together, it means we can get it out. We took the order yesterday afternoon, customer paid yesterday evening. We've got it prepped this morning, hoses made, couplers on it, and it's ready to go. Right, loaded up. Next stop, the welders turn these parts into something usable. There's multiple different jobs on there, but once they're back, I will show you exactly what they're for. Just like that, Friday morning, and I'm choosing to film this morning's intro outside because on the rare occasion for this summer, it would appear the sun is actually out. So, Friday morning, not a lot to show you from yesterday afternoon. Laura and I had some personal stuff to go and do. Our wedding is less than a month away, so we're at the final meeting for that yesterday afternoon. I have put these crates outside. There's somebody coming to pick them up this morning. They are some old GB breaker crates. And we've got a delivery of pallet forks coming in on SNT this morning. Let's go and get them unloaded. I'll show you around them now. So these are a set of standard 14-ton floating pallet forks to fit a standard 14-ton excavator on 65mm pins. Built locally by Eurofab. So they get dropped off this morning. They're going as part of a bigger order with that flail, which was still to finish getting ready. And there's a drive, an HPX drive came in for a grab to go with the same order. On the subject of attachments coming in for customer orders, you obviously seen this NOX Tiltrotator getting delivered the other day, and I've been a little bit cagey on the details of it. There was a reason for that, but it now transpires there's been some developments. I will tell you them in a second, but let me show you around it first. So this is a Kinshofer NOX Tiltrotator. It is a TR11. It's a direct mount. I'll talk you through all the options here in a second, but it's a direct mount with what we would call a D-lock lower coupler. And it is for a JCB 100C. So the reason I was being a little bit cagey on the details of this earlier in the week was because it was for a customer who'd ordered it a good few weeks back now, but it was intended to go on his new JCB 100C and then be shown off at the Black Isle show. So the Black Isle show, hopefully we can still get up there for a look round about, and of course we'll take you with us, is an agricultural show in the north of Scotland in the Muir of Ord Inverness area. So the plan for this was we were going to go up and fit it this month. The show is on the 1st of August, and then the new digger, the new NOX Tiltrotator, and the new Attachworks bucket that I kind of showed you the other day would have all went together, and it would have been a nice new package, for one for the customer and a real nice display of the tools for the show. However, I'm not gloating here, I really am not. We done everything in our power to get the NOX here in time, and to be honest, I thought that if anything was going to let us down, it would have been this. But fair play to Kinshofer, we let them know it was for the show. They got it out a little bit quicker than they maybe normally would, and it was here in time. And the bucket got here, as you've seen, but it turns out unfortunately the excavator is not going to be ready in time. So from what I'm being told, it didn't get in the build slot it was meant to get in the production line at JCB. So therefore it's going to be delayed, and then JCB have a bit of a shutdown at the factory at the end of July, start of August. So all those factors put together will mean, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get this up and get it fitted in time for the Black Isle show. Related to that as well, was of course the bucket, and there was a reason I wasn't really showing you too many details of it, was because the customer we're dealing with for the NOX, it is going on, as I said, a new JCB 100C, I'll show you one there, and he was getting the bucket as a bit of a surprise for his son, who was going to be operating the machine and the tilt rotator. So that's why I was worried about the time frame that this video was coming out, and then I wasn't showing you the bucket because the son didn't know about it, and just in case he watches this video. That's us up to speed on the NOX, why it's here and why it's going to be sitting about. You'll maybe see it in the background of some of our videos for the next few weeks, but it's ready to go. So whenever the machine turns up, we'll get up there and get it fitted, and of course we'll take you with us as well. So what happens is the pins that will come out of the NOX, it will get pinned on to the new JCB, and it will live on the machine pretty much permanently. This is also fitted with what we call, or what Kinshofer call, their D-lock lower coupler, and the whole benefit of that is it uses what we would consider in the UK to be standard buckets. Standard buckets being, for this size machine and what it's going on, what we would call in the UK a 3CX bucket. So a 45mm diameter pin, 343mm diameter, 343mm distance, I should say, from the front, the pin centre on the front pin to the pin centre on the rear pin, meaning that the customer can continue to use his range of existing buckets and attachments that they use on some of their other machines at the moment. This was a spec consideration that we'd done had a little bit of back and forth with when the customer originally inquired on this. The big benefit of the D-lock, as I've just explained, is the ability to continue to use your standard buckets. The downside, and there's maybe two downsides to this, is the build height of the lower coupler. I don't have another one in here to show you, but this, compared to an S-type, which would be the other option on this, is a lot taller, which means the distance from this pin to what would be the pin on your bucket is a lot bigger, and it does lose a little bit of breakout force compared to the S-type to the S45. The other downside is the cost. This setup with the D-lock, this is a little bit more expensive as opposed to the Scandinavian style symmetrical S-lock coupler, just because of the nature of it and how the lower coupler is built by another Kinshofer company, Doherty attachments, and then that's then fitted on the bottom of the NOX unit, so it is a little bit more expensive, but then that has to be weighed up by the customer's application and what they're looking to do with it. And the last thing on the spec of this NOX, this is a DF4. Now there's a control box just behind the camera there. When we come to fitting it, I'll show you around it. And I'll put a little bit of illustration here just to show you what's required for a DF4, a DF10 and a Prop Plus. So the Prop Plus, if we consider that to be the Rolls Royce, a full spec setup, that's the one that comes with the uprated fancy SFAB joysticks, the full electric control, the screen in the cab, the full customizability, versus a DF10, which is a fully hydraulic, no customizability at all. Every single function needs its own hydraulic circuit. The DF4 sits somewhere in the middle. It uses two hydraulic circuits on the machine, one for tilt, one for rotate, and there is still an electrical coupler on it that will then use a spare button on the standard joystick on the excavator to cycle between the tilt and the extra functions. As with everything else, there is obviously a cost consideration, and it does sit cost-wise somewhere between the DF10 and the Prop Plus, and it does save quite a bit on install cost, because this is maybe a 3-4 hour install versus maybe a day and a half install for the Prop Plus. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I haven't bored you with too many details there. If you want to know anything more on tilt rotators in general, Kinshofer NOXes specifically, let me know in the comments below. It's time for the Attachment Company USA update. Roll the intro. So if you're paying attention at the start of this video, you'll have heard me saying that Laura and I run our UK business, and our USA business is run by my brother Andrew. He's based in Denver, Colorado, and he does the exact same thing as we do here, we carry very similar attachments and the majority of the same brands. So this is a section we've tried to include over the last few episodes and just let you know what's going on over there. So what's that got to do with tilt rotators? Everything. It's got everything to do with tilt rotators this week, because
we just got finished installing this NOX Tiltrotator on the customer's Cat 306. Let me give you a quick walk around and talk about the specs of the machine and the Tiltrotator. So the machine is a 2023 Cat 306 CR, and the Tiltrotator is the Kinshofer NOX TR07. This NOX has an S40 upper bracket and an S40 lower coupler. The customer ordered his S40 coupler from Caterpillar, so they installed that on his machine and kept his thumb. And they also supplied him with S40 buckets, as you can see here. So that way he can drop the full setup off and use his original bucket with his thumb. This is what we call a sandwich design. And this is the NOX Prop Plus. So this has only 2 hydraulic lines, or 1 circuit, and a boom cable that runs all the way back inside the cab, and a full control system that lets you change all the settings on the Tiltrotator and the attachments from inside the cab. This is a top spec control that does require a full installation, which we've carried out. This is the D07 demolition grapple from Kinshofer. It has an HPX drive, which means it has no hydraulic cylinders in it either, as well as the NOX itself. So the full setup is completely cylinderless. Obviously the NOX tilt function comes from this piston in here. So that's the main thing that the customer wanted it for, was for the lack of cylinders and also the grapple. So as you can see, it's a really compact setup. It's obviously quite tall when you've got it all on there. But with this machine, as far as weight goes, it's not too big of an issue. This machine weighs just under 7 tons. So we've been playing around with it, and even with the gripper installed, it's not too bad weight-wise. So obviously the customer will have to be careful if he's lifting heavier stuff, but it's not too bad of a setup with the weight on this machine. And as you can see, the customer spec'd it with a gripper as well. So that gripper on these models just bolts right on the back, and then 2 hydraulic lines come out your extra function and run the gripper. With the Prop Plus controls, all these functions can be ran at the same time. So there's no limitation as some other setups where you can only run 1 or 2 functions at a time. This, you can run everything simultaneously, all through the control system. So it is a TR07, it's a smaller version of this one, and it differs in quite a few ways related to the spec we were talking about earlier. It is a sandwich setup, so the customer has a top coupler on his machine, meaning that he can take the NOX off whenever he wants, and then he can just use a standard bucket or a standard attachment. He has also gone, because it's the sandwich, you really need to go for the S-type lower coupler. So it's an S45 lower coupler as opposed to the D-lock that we spoke about earlier. He's also went full spec in terms of options. So as you can see in the video there, it's fitted with the optional rear gripper and also a Kinshofer HPX drive selector grab. More on those later, because if you were paying attention, there is some components for them here, and we have an order for one of them to go out in the next couple of weeks. So really cool to see that done, completed. The customer is over the moon with the setup, and it looks really, really good on the next gen Cat. So big shout out to Andrew and John for getting that completed. A real tidy install, and nice to see it through from, it's been going on for a few months now, from initial inquiry, spec, order, and then getting it installed. So top work by them. And that's really the big news this week. So that's the update for the attachment company USA. Done. I mentioned Laura and I's wedding earlier, and Andrew will be over for that from the US in the next couple of weeks. So if there's any questions on the attachment company USA or for him, let us know in the comments. Hopefully we'll get him on camera and we can put some of your questions to him.
Right, it is now Saturday afternoon. I can't even remember where we finished yesterday. I don't think I filmed anything to finish this yesterday, but we were doing some product testing and some home improvements at the same time. So putting some gravel out in the driveway, but also using the Attach Works grading beam and the tilt bucket. I'll put some footage in here of them both working, but pretty cool actually to get a shot, get some time in the seat actually using one. There's a couple issues with the hose routing on the tilt bucket that I'll talk you through next week when we come to fix it. And this is the 1.5 metre grading beam without roller. Not normally us that gets to take the paint off the new attachments, but something a little bit different there. Hopefully I got some good footage to show you them working. On that note, I think we'll finish this week's video here. Let us know what you thought of it. If you made it all the way to the end, it is thoroughly appreciated. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to see more of, like to see less of, whatever. And when you're down there, if you could press subscribe, hit like as well, you'd be doing us a massive favour. Otherwise, that's us for this week's episode. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Cheerio.